केवल 2 लोग।
Meeting on vaccine administration of COVID-19 to take place today. Recovery rate touches nearly 70%. Death rate falls further to 1.98%. One terrorist gunned down in Pulwama encounter in Jammu and Kashmir. One soldier martyred. Search operations continue. Security forces killed 4 Naxals in Sukma encounter in Chhattisgarh. Vice President Venkaiah Naidu releases a book on Subhash Chandra Bose, says the courage and leadership shown by Netaji during the freedom movement is an inspiration for the youth. Calls youth on International Youth Day to get inspiration from the life of Netaji in building a new India. Violence breaks out in East Bengaluru over controversial and objectionable post on social media. Police fire at mob, creating arson and stone pelting. 2 people die, 110 arrested. Curfew imposed in violence-hit areas, those shared, are also taken under police custody. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to launch platform for transparent taxation, honouring the honest tomorrow. Launch will further carry forward journey of direct tax reforms. Nation celebrates World Elephant Day today. Union Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar says India has nearly 60% of wild Asian elephants because we revere, are more tolerant and affectionate towards animals. A nation celebrates festival of Janmashtami with great pomp and religious fervour. President and Prime Minister greet people on the occasion. Hello and welcome to this edition of the news. I'm Rukma in our top story. The Expert Committee on Vaccine Administration under the chairmanship of Niti Aayog member Dr. V.K. Paul will meet today to consider logistics and ethical aspects of procurement and administration of COVID-19 vaccine. The committee would reach out to all stakeholders, including state governments and pharmaceutical companies. Public and private sectors are working hand in hand on conducting human trials of potential vaccines. The committee would chalk out strategies on aspects of prioritization of the vaccine administration once it is developed, rollout and cold chain logistics, as well as training of people who would be administering it. And let's now take a look at COVID-19 updates from across the country. Successful implementation of containment strategy, aggressive testing along with standardized clinical management of critical patients has resulted in the rise of COVID-19 recoveries in the country. The recovery rate has crossed 70%, while the case fatality rate has fallen below 2%. Over 16 lakh people have now recovered from the virus, with about 7 lakh tests being conducted each day. The number of active COVID-19 cases in India stands at 6,43,000. which is 27% of the total cases reported so far. India's 3-pronged strategy of test, trace and treat is proving to be a success. One tangible outcome of this strategy is that the fatality rate has dropped to 1.98%. In Jammu and Kashmir, one terrorist was shot down during an encounter in Pulwama this morning. A joint operation was launched Tuesday evening, that's yesterday, by Jammu and Kashmir Police and Indian Army in Budgam. A cordon was laid and contact was established by forces. One AK along with grenades, pouches and other warlike stores have been recovered. One soldier laid down his life in the line of duty. Search operation is in progress. An encounter broke out in the jungles of Jagarguda in Sukma district between a joint force including DRG Jawans and Naxals. 4 Naxals have been killed in the encounter. It was a joint operation between Cobra 201, 223 Battalion of CRPF and District Reserve Guard. 4 arms including a 303 rifle have been recovered from the site of the encounter. More details are awaited. And Vice President Venkaiah Naidu today released a book, Netaji, India's Independence and British Archives in New Delhi. The book has been authored by Dr. Kalyan Kumar De. It depicts the life and contribution of Netaji Subhash Bose. Speaking on the occasion, Vice President said the book is a valuable addition to the vast published works on India's freedom movement in general and the contribution of Netaji to the struggle in particular. Vice President Naidu also urged youth to take inspiration from the life of Netaji and strive towards building a new India.
I call upon the youth to take inspiration from the lives of Sri Subhash Chandra Bose and strive towards building a new India, a strong, stable, prosperous and egalitarian India.
And referring to the COVID-19 pandemic, Vice President underscored that India needs to build a resilient and self-reliant economy to fight with new emerging challenges of the world with help of its youth portent. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will launch a platform for transparent taxation, honoring the honest tomorrow. The upcoming launch of the platform for transparent taxation, honoring the honest by the Prime Minister, will further carry forward the journey of direct tax reforms. The event will be attended by various chambers of commerce, trade associations, chartered accountants associations and also eminent taxpayers, apart from officers and officials of Income Tax Department. The Central Board of Direct Taxes, CBDT, has carried out several major tax reforms in direct taxes in recent years. The focus of the tax reforms has been on reduction in tax rates and on simplification of direct tax laws. It's time now for a short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
As novel coronavirus spreads around the world, where does research on a vaccine stand? Can India, that produces 60% of the world's vaccines, with its production capabilities and distribution networks, unleash the full potential of its medical diplomacy? For an in-depth perspective on solutions to the global pandemic, watch BioQuest, Researching COVID-19 on DD India and DD News.
Welcome back. And in Karnataka, violence broke out in eastern Bangalore on Tuesday night, that's yesterday night, over a controversial and objectionable post on social media by the relative of a Congress MLA. At least 2 people have died due to the violence. It broke out in DJ Halli Kaval, Bairasandra, over the post hurting religious sentiments. Congress MLA Akhanda Srinivas Murthy's nephew, Naveen, is accused of posting the objectionable post on social media. Local youth in the area gathered, attacking the MLA's house. They also burnt police vehicles and attempted to torch the house. Violence spread to surrounding areas and police opened fire to disperse the mob. 2 persons died while many others were injured in the police firing. Karnataka Home Minister Basavaraj Bommai reviewed the situation and ordered police to bring law and order in control in the area. Meanwhile, the MLA's relative who posted on social media has been taken into custody. A total of 110 accused have been arrested for arson, stone pelting and assault on police. Those who shared the post on social media have also been taken into police custody. Bangalore City Commissioner Kamal Pant has said the situation has been brought under control. He appealed to all to cooperate with police to maintain peace. Two light combat helicopters have been deployed by Air Force at the LAC in Ladakh. The Air Force Vice Chief had taken part in a simulation last Friday when the LCH took off from a high altitude base and targeted at a forward location. These two attack helicopters are part of limited series production of LSP, which HAL has started manufacturing in anticipation of an order from Air Force because price negotiations and trials are already over. The LCH is a potent weapon platform for high altitudes and can operate by night as well as day. Going in line with the Unlock 3 guidelines of the central government, the Jammu and Kashmir administration on Tuesday allowed religious places and places of worship within the Union Territory to open from August 16th. Issuing guidelines, the Union Territory administration said the use of Arogya Setu app is mandatory for all visitors. However, touching statues, idols or holy books are not allowed by the administration. The guidelines further added that due to relatively large numbers of pilgrims visiting Mata Vaishno Devi shrine, there will be a ceiling of a maximum of 5,000 pilgrims per day till the 30th of September. And as the nation gathers momentum to return back to track after the COVID-19 ensued restrictions, the Travancore Devaswam Board has decided to allow entry of devotees in all temples under its control from 17th of this month, which will also mark the first day of the Malayalam month, Chingam. However, the decision will not be applied to the hill shrine of Sabrimala. The board said that the devotees will have to follow COVID-19 protocols, wearing masks and maintaining social distancing will be mandatory for devotees. Only 5 people will be permitted to go inside at a time, children below 10 years and the elderly above 65 years will not be allowed into temples. The darshanas were not being allowed in temples since March 22nd due to COVID-19 induced restrictions. In Kerala, the death toll in the Idukki landslide has gone up to 53. One body was recovered from the debris today in Pettimudi near Rajamala. NDRF firefighters and police department personnel were engaged in search operations of the missing 18 people. They have been missing since the 7th of August. Meanwhile, the water level at the Mulla Periyar reservoir in Idukki district reached 136.85 feet on Tuesday. With a let-up in the rains, water receded in many low-lying areas of Kottayam and Alappuzha districts. And today is the birth anniversary of the father of the Indian space program, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. Every year, the Indian Society of Remote Sensing, one of the biggest scientific societies in the country, celebrates this day as the National Remote Sensing Day in collaboration with its 26 local chapters spread across the country. This year being the birth centenary year of Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, ISRS invited renowned Indian space scientist, former chairman of ISRO and architect of National New Education Policy of India, Dr. K. Kasturirangan, on the occasion of NRS Day, for addressing the geospatial community in the country. In his recorded webinar address, Dr. Kasturirangan said that Dr. Sarabhai realized very early the immense potential of satellite remote sensing technologies for a developing country like India and promoted its application in different areas of natural resources management, environmental monitoring and disaster management.
By 1960, here was a visionary in India who found that this vantage point of space, which for the first time has been now accessed by the humankind, has very significant implication in the context of his own country, that is India. Today, we have visible region satellites, microwave, hyperspectral systems, cartographic applications, resource sat applications. So a variety, these are all part and parcel of the India's remote sensing capability.
And today is International Youth Day. The United Nations in 1999 declared 12th August as International Youth Day. International Youth Day gives an opportunity to celebrate and mainstream young people's voices, actions and initiatives, as well as their meaningful, universal and equitable engagement. The theme for the year 2020 is Youth Engagement for Global Action, which seeks to highlight the ways in which the engagement of young people is enriching national and multilateral institutions and processes, as well as draw lessons on how their representation and engagement in formal institutional politics can be significantly enhanced. Sharing his thoughts on the occasion, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu called upon youth to take inspiration from the life of Netaji and strive towards building a new India. Let's now take a look at updates on COVID-19 from across the world. The number of cases have shot up to more than 2 crore 5 lakhs, with fatalities worldwide crossing 7,46,000. The US continues to remain the worst affected in the world, with over 53 lakh and 5,000 people contracting the virus and 1,67,000 losing their lives. Brazil trails behind the US in terms of death toll, registering 1,03,000, followed by Mexico, where the virus has claimed over 53,000 lives. Australia today recorded its deadliest day of the coronavirus pandemic, with the biggest daily rise in infections in 3 days. Victoria reported 21 deaths, 2 more than the previous deadliest days earlier this week, and 410 new cases in the past 24 hours. A cluster of infections in Melbourne forced authorities last week to impose night curfew, tighten restrictions on people's daily movements, and order large parts of the state economy to close. Authorities in New South Wales are scrambling to trace infections linked to a new cluster at a school in Sydney, which has raised fears of more widespread community transmission than previously known in Australia's most populous state. Australia has reported just over 22,000 infections and 352 deaths from the virus so far. In other news, Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden has named Senator Kamala Harris as his running mate. Harris is the first black woman and the first person of Indian descent to be nominated for national office by a major party, and only the 4th woman in history to be chosen for one of their presidential tickets. Harris will debate Trump's running mate, Vice President Mike Pence, on the 7th of October in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Former US Vice President Joe Biden has selected Kamala Harris as his running mate. She will be the first Asian American to run for vice president. Harris, a 55-year-old first-term senator, is also one of the party's most prominent figures and quickly became a top contender for the number 2 spot after her own White House campaign ended. Biden, who had spent 8 years as vice president during Barack Obama's tenure, had pledged in March only to select a woman as his vice president. Announcing Harris's candidature, Biden said in a tweet, "Back when Kamala was Attorney General, she worked closely with Bew," Biden said, referring to his late son, who was Attorney General of Delaware when Harris held the post in California. "I watched as they took on the big banks, lifted up working people, and protected women and kids from abuse. I was proud then, and I am proud now to have her as my partner in this campaign." Harris has a close relationship with many people in the Obama administration orbit and had worked alongside Biden's late son, Bew, when both served as state attorneys general. Kamala Harris's life, from being an immigrant family into the US to running for the second highest post in the same country, is a story of grit, struggle, and untiring spirit of practicing what she has believed in. Born in Oakland to a Jamaican father and Indian mother, Harris won her first election in 2003 when she became San Francisco's district attorney. Her mother, Shyamala Gopalan Harris, was a breast cancer researcher who left India to get her doctorate at the USA, and her father, Donald Harris, was an economist who taught at Stanford University. Kamala Harris graduated from Harvard University and the University of California, Hastings College of the Law. In 2016, Harris was elected to the U.S. Senate, becoming the first African American and the first woman to work as Attorney General in California. She sought the Democratic Party's nomination for president in 2019, later withdrew, and on Tuesday was tapped to stand for vice president on the Democratic ticket with Joe Biden. Recently, when protests filled streets across the U.S. to rage against the killing of George Floyd and other African Americans in police custody, Harris was one of the first lawmakers to join the protests herself. She appeared in front of the White House and on Washington, D.C.'s newly designated Black Lives Matter Plaza. Many in the U.S. believe that her activism during these protests strengthened her public image as a rights activist and helped her reclaim her political strength after her not-so-impressive presidential campaign. Bureau Report, DD News.
With the US presidential election drawing near, there's a lot at stake for India and the world. We get you a special program featuring 2 experts each from India and the US who will help you understand the current and future trajectories of the India-US relationship. Stay tuned to DD India for the broadcast at 8 p.m. today. World Elephant Day is being celebrated today to bring attention of various stakeholders to support various conservation policies to help elephants. The majestic Asiatic elephant is revered in Indian religion and culture and is an intrinsic part of its geographic landscape. The Environment Minister in a tweet said, I quote, India has nearly 60% of wild Asian elephants, not just because of strong wildlife laws, but because we Indians revere, are more tolerant and affectionate towards animals. On this World Elephant Day 2020, let us reaffirm this bond of coexistence with Hathi Hamara Sathi. He also shared a video explaining various aspects of our national heritage. And a tigress Sheila has given birth to 3 cubs in Siliguri's Bengal Safari Park. With this, the total number of tigers in the park has touched 7. The information was provided by Dharam Dev Rai, director of Bengal Safari. It may also be noted that at the time of her first delivery, Sheila gave birth to 3 cubs on 11th May 2018 in the Bengal Safari Park itself. However, one of the cubs died within just 6 months. And the festival of Krishna Janmashtami, which marks the birth of Lord Krishna, is being celebrated in some parts of the nation today. To mark the auspicious occasion, people decorate cradles and place Krishna's idol in it while welcoming Krishna's arrival with sweets and savories. Janmashtami celebrations began on Tuesday. Krishna Puja is usually conducted at midnight, hence the celebrations continue today. President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi greeted the nation on the auspicious occasion of Janmashtami. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news. Namaskar.